Part 6 of the Introduction and Overview. Here we'll determine what a catalog is, sort of understanding what it is by itself. As promised, here is more about catalogs themselves. A catalog is a group of records that lists the holdings of a collection. It's pretty much that simple. So why make a catalog? What is the point? The word catalog is used in many contexts, like the one we are in, where we keep a list of objects on the IU campus, or like the one in the Goodreads app on your phone, where you keep a list of books you have at home. Even Amazon is a catalog of all the things you can buy. Catalogs, and therefore cataloging, are universal concepts. The trouble is, the only place that uses the word cataloging is the library. Because that is the case, the work we do, which is exactly the same work people do at Amazon, sounds old-timey and doesn't always get the same respect. When cataloging, we may encounter any format in existence. No matter what it is, it needs to be identified and described, whether it is physical or virtual. Nothing can be found without some kind of data attached to it. Those identifying descriptions are called records. They are saved and arranged within a database, even one that is not in a computer. You guessed it, a card catalog cabinet is a database. A book with a handwritten list of objects is a database. And of course, Microsoft Access is a database. Library catalogs exist because libraries contain more than one book. Otherwise, there would be no need. Library catalogs were created to make it easier for library users to retrieve something and use it. They're also a way to maintain a complete inventory of an entire collection of objects. And it's thanks to catalogers that they contain the information necessary to do those things. Doing those things is the purpose of cataloging. Charles Cutter, a name you'll hear a lot in conversation about call numbers, outlined these objectives that users should be able to accomplish when cataloging is done properly. Users should be able to find something when they already know what it's called. They should be able to put together a list of things that we have by a certain creator, and they should be able to look at a catalog record and know it is exactly what they are looking for, without ever having to look at the object. We'll talk even more about FRBR in the future, but it also defines some objectives that users should be able to meet as a result of cataloging. Find, Identify, Select, Obtain, or simply FISO, has been a driving force for many of the recent efforts in cataloging and system development. I mentioned the Paris principles in a different video. These principles are intended to direct the construction of cataloging codes to guarantee that the right data is included and that it is well developed. The highest principle is the convenience of the user, which is at the forefront of all system development. Developed by IFLA to broaden the scope of the Paris principles, the International Cataloging Principles add Navigate to the same list from FRBR. In context, navigating is being able to find like things in one catalog, or find like things in other catalogs. We'll talk even more about RDA throughout the semester, but it is the guidelines we use now, and it has defined additional principles to ensure those guidelines meet user needs. This is a brief overview of the history of the existence of catalogs. They started as lists of objects written in a book, then became drawers full of cards. In modern cases, those cards contain typed data, but originally there was a specific script learned by catalogers to handwrite the data clearly, similar to calligraphy. Those cards are filed away in alphabetical order based on particular pieces of data. We used to purchase pre-typed catalog cards from the Library of Congress, and then from OCLC, which I'll talk about more soon. In fact, OCLC only stopped creating and sending cards in the last few years. Then with the onset of computers and the internet, the practice of library automation transferred that typed or handwritten data into an online public access catalog, or OPAC. There are several specific types of catalogs. For example, a classified catalog that is arranged by call number. National catalogs, such as the one created and maintained by the Library of Congress, is one as well. And union catalogs brought together the data about resources in many collections, even if they weren't sharing a physical location. Those early book catalogs were arranged in a way needed by a particular user. That user may have been the owner of the collection who preferred to find things according to the last name of an author. Card catalogs required separate cards, i.e. records, for each data entry point that was needed to create a full description. For example, so that a user could find a particular book by either the title or the author, a separate record or card was necessary for each, one with the title at the top and one with the author at the top, so they could be arranged alphabetically. OPACs hold a complete description in one record, broaden the searching ability to include every word in the record, can link to digital content, and will tell you right away if something is on the shelf or checked out. There are also subtypes of catalogs. For example, a shelf list keeps all of the records in order by call number. It shows you the order in which everything should be on a shelf. An authority file brings together all of the spellings of a person's name, the title of a book, or a subject, arranging them all by an authorized version. A library catalog contains several structural elements that play together. A general public user of a library catalog will see the OPAC, which is a top layer that allows for a user to enter a search capable of querying the catalog database below. Catalogers can search a different search layer and a data entry interface where they enter all of the data about an object. You will hear the term relational database throughout your studies and your career. The library catalog is a relational database, meaning it consists of several tables of information, such as a table of users, a table of descriptive records, and a table of authority records, that contain identifying information that connect them to each other where applicable. All of the areas of a database and its layers make up an ILS, which stands for Integrated Library System. They may also be known as the Library Management System, or LMS. You'll still see that the library world is one giant bowl of alphabet soup. The bibliographic record generally contains all of the descriptive and collocating data for the content of the object. It is what you see the most of in the OPAC. It lives within the MARC framework's bibliographic format. We'll talk about MARC later, too. The holdings record contains information to let users know what a library holds in their collection. This can include the call number, information about where in the library an object lives, like the location, and any volume designations to list which parts of a set or series that a library has. It can also be utilized to hold information about the variant copies of the same title. For example, if one copy was given to the library by a particular donor, or one copy is damaged. This is a highly underutilized area of library catalog. Some ILS and institutions do not utilize holdings records for every object in a collection, and some do. These live within the MARC framework's holdings format. An item record contains information about the object in hand, including the barcode, which type of material it is, volume designation for the individual volume, the number of pieces, and other bits of information specific to the object in hand. These records are proprietary to an ILS and are therefore not governed by MARC formats, but by local policies and decisions instead. Authority records are indirectly connected to bibliographic records by matching data strings, usually referred to as access points. These live within the MARC framework's authorities format.